Hey guys, welcome back. In this second slide on density, we're going to take a look at density in different states of matter. It turns out that there are almost 24 different states of matter, but the three most common on Earth are gases, liquids, and solids. This is a bit of a review, so you might want to keep the numbers in mind here just to have a sense of scale. Let's think about this from an almost chemical point of view. Gases are very far apart. Now, this picture is misleading. It turns out that in a gas, the molecules are traveling many times their own size before they collide with another particle. Another way to think about this is that if you were the size of how can I say this? If a nitrogen atom was as big as you are, you would fly in a straight line for about 7 miles before you hit another nitrogen atom, right? Or another nitrogen molecule. So this isn't to scale at all. These particles should be going much, much faster, and they should be much, much more spread out. Typical densities for gases are going to be less than 2. Yeah, less than 2 kilograms per cubic meter. Take a meter stick and lay it on its side so that you have a meter by a meter by a meter. That's a pretty big volume, right? How much is a kilogram? Well, a kilogram is a little over 2 pounds, right? So oxygen is going to weigh about 3 pounds per cubic meter. So take a meter stick and make a meter by a meter by a meter, meter high, meter wide, meter deep. Look at the air in that box, so to speak. That's going to weigh about 3 pounds if it's pure oxygen. Okay, liquids. This picture is closer to accurate, although the molecules or the atoms aren't going to be right on top of each other. They're certainly much, much closer. And now we're looking at much, much higher densities. The one to pay attention to here is water. Water is exactly 1,000 kilograms, a little over 1 ton, or 2,000 pounds, per cubic meter. Water is pretty dense. Alcohol will float on top of water, right? Although you can get them to mix pretty easily. Mercury is interesting because it's a metal, but it's liquid at room temperature. To put this in perspective, a milk jug weighs about 8 pounds. A milk jug of mercury would weigh over 100 pounds, closer to maybe 110 pounds. Finally, solids are packed in together very much like people in a marching band. Let's talk about compressibility for just a moment. Gases, because of all the space between them, are very compressible. Liquids, on the other hand, don't have very much space between them. They aren't particularly compressible, and solids also are not easy to compress. And there are things like marshmallows that are easy to compress, but in general, solids, particularly metals that have this crystal structure, aren't going to be very compressible. Gases are going to have densities that are maybe just a few or less than 1 even, kilograms per cubic meter. Liquids will typically have densities that are hundreds of kilograms per cubic meter, though mercury is obviously an exception. Now for solids, you're talking about a couple of thousands of kilograms per cubic meter. And so these are very, very dense. You're packing a lot of material into that small amount of space.